What is financial abuse? Financial abuse is the use of finances or money to threaten, frighten, or manipulate and control a victim of narcissistic abuse or domestic violence. Control is power, and every narcissist wants nothing but power and control. As with other forms of abuse, the abuser dominates the victim, and most of the victims of financial abuse are women, but men can also be victims of financial abuse. It is not limited to controlling the victim of financial abuse. It is used against their shared children as well, and financial abuse is not as rare as people might think that it is. With narcissists, financial control can be a part of a very nefarious plot and a key part of making a victim feel impotent, dependent, and isolated. Financial abuse is economic and psychological, and the victim knows little to nothing about their personal finances because the controlling narcissist is so secretive that some victims never know or understand the extent of the abuse, or that they are being abused at all. And because the controlling narcissist is so secretive, they just know that the victim just knows that they're trapped. They can feel it whether they know it or not. And at first, there may have been some type of rational basis for one person in this, I don't want to say relationship, in this situation to oversee the family's financial structure, but the relationship eventually morphs into an abusive one. Financial abuse happens at all ages, educational levels, ethnic groups, and income levels. A gilded cage is still a cage, and that's because that domestic financial abuse is about control. It is an insidious trap that I myself have been a victim of for many, many years. And financial abuse may or may not be the only form of abuse that can further trap a victim in an abusive situation. And financial bullying is not always obvious either, but it can be in your face or hidden along with secret assets. Because financial abuse is so damaging, it must be addressed immediately. The victim of this type of abuse cannot be left at the mercy of this dominant narcissist without economic options. And when the narcissist has controlled the finances for a long time, possibly throughout the entire marriage, there's this threat that say, if there's a marriage, if you divorce me, I'll make sure that you never get a dime. And this has a very profound impact. And that threat, it can dissuade the victim from consulting, say, an attorney and getting help. And the victim of financial abuse may find it impossible to leave and find new housing or a safe place, or to support children or even get a lawyer. So what motivates the abuser, and why do these narcissists need to be in absolute control of the money, the finances? And some of these people fear being broke. It can be rooted in culture, such as my situation was, or a religion. And some have personality disorders, obviously narcissistic personality disorder. And someone, as we know, with narcissistic personality disorder lacks empathy, has a sense of entitlement, among other characteristics that make this type prone to this type of abuse. And whatever the personality type of this abuser is, they are very calculating and manipulative. That is for sure. So what to look for? What are some clues? Clues to financial abuse all stem from the need for one party to be in control. Financial control could include using legitimate financial tools designed to prevent fraud for the abusive purpose of tracking the other spouse, allowing continuous auditing and monitoring, and for instance, using online banking to track the victim's deposits and withdrawals on a daily, sometimes an hourly basis, stalking them online on social media, spying and online harassment, tracking them through their social media posts and pictures, spying on their emails, and using apps to track the victim's whereabouts by installing a stealth app on their phone so they can track them 24/7. Here are some examples of things the narcissist may do to the victim. They will conceal assets to prevent equitable property division in divorce or separation. They will dole out small amounts of money as an allowance or no money at all as a punishment, make the victim account for every single nickel that is spent, make the victim sign legal papers without knowing what they are. They will steal the victim's money. They will take their victim's paychecks without any kind of discussion or explanation. They will prevent any kind of career advancement, sabotaging employment by making, say, the victim miss work. They will object to any cash-paying job because the victim could keep some of the money, and they make it difficult for the controlling this makes it difficult for the controlling narcissist to track every penny that the victim is spending, and they will prevent the victim from working outside of the home. In my situation there, the abuser may keep the victim in absolute darkness as to all of the assets and the debts in the relationship, and prohibiting the victim from using credit cards, writing checks, and accessing bank accounts, and criticizing and demoralizing the victim for poor spending habits, wasting money, and stupid purchases, which happen to be all purchases, and accusing the victim of wasting material resources on gambling or a drinking problem, even when there's no basis to this allegation. Like, say it happened once over a decade ago. That can definitely happen there. So financial abuse can involve keeping the other spouse's name off of, say, the title to a car or a house and marital property, making the victim retire early on Social Security, 401k, or IRA, despite the penalty for early withdrawal. And the abusive behavior includes paying the bills by using all of the victim's separate money first, and damaging the victim's credit score when he or she does not even control the bill payment. And they will hold the purse strings, but not providing sufficient funds for necessity like clothes, food, medicine, and decent housing, and purposely delaying court proceedings to make the victim suffer while waiting for family support orders and property divisions. So, to extricate yourself from a financially abusive relationship, you need to retake control of the finances. And this means educating yourself and financial planning. Learn what your legal rights are by consulting a competent attorney. And this could involve tagging specific incidents of abuse so the case for recovery can be made in court. And whether you plan to remain in the marital home or leave, you will need to gather. This is imperative. Gathering important documents and records and making sure that to copy them and store them in a safe space that the narcissist cannot get to. Say the narcissist has hidden all of the important documents and records from the victim. You get what you can safely, and financial forensic analysis will almost always be helpful. That's somebody that you can hire. They will ferret out the facts. So something called a mandatory injunction. When say you are married, you go to court for a divorce. When the divorce complaint is filed, a mandatory injunction can sometimes go into effect, and among other things, the injunction will prohibit the spouse from selling or transferring, say, the house, or doing things that affect the marital assets and debts. And violating the order can cause the abuser to be found in contempt of court with sanctions. So if your narcissist attempts to sell, say, your house or your property, hide assets, or do anything, if you get this injunction, you must tell your attorney about it immediately. And not only can this result in sanctions, it can call for jail time for the violator, but the court will likely scrutinize the violator's demeanor and the character for truthfulness during the rest of proceedings, which will definitely help you out a lot. So, you guys, if you have been involved in a financially abusive situation like I have, I was in one for 6 years where I was not on the title to our home. I was not on the title to any of my his vehicles. Everything that I had was his, and I knew that the moment that he stepped out or I left, I would be left with nothing. But little did I know that after the relationship ended, I would be controlled financially for many, many years. And it was after I started this page and my coaching business, and because of your generous donations, I was able to get out of that rut and start making money for myself. And I cannot thank you guys enough. I don't think you guys understand what kind of situation you really truly got me out of. And if you are in a financially abusive situation, please feel free to message me, leave a comment underneath this video, and we can definitely talk about it. My name is Sara Ann Brown, and this is Narcissistic Abuse 101.